For decades, the old mariner's lighthouse stood silent, a forgotten sentinel on the edge of the continent. But locals in the nearby fishing town whispered strange tales of flickering lights seen in the tower on moonless nights, and faint voices carried on the salty wind. They said the lighthouse wasn't empty. They said old Captain Blackwood, its last keeper, never truly left. The official story is simple. In 1948, after a fierce winter storm, the lighthouse was found deserted. Captain Blackwood had vanished without a trace. His logbook lay open on his desk, the last entry ending abruptly. "The fog is thick tonight. I hear them calling from the rocks." Some believe he was swept away by a rogue wave. Others, however, believe something more sinister happened, something connected to the whispers he heard from the sea. Over the years, many have tried to debunk the myths. Paranormal investigators, skeptics, and thrill-seekers have all spent nights within its cold stone walls. Few stay the entire night. They report sudden, inexplicable drops in temperature, the scent of old pipe tobacco, and the distinct sound of heavy footsteps climbing the winding iron staircase when no one else is there. One team even captured an audio recording, a faint, mournful voice that seemed to say, "The light must not go out." Is it just the wind playing tricks on the old structure? Or is the spirit of Captain Blackwood still dutifully watching over the coast, forever bound to his post? Generations of sailors have sworn they've been guided to safety by a mysterious light from the abandoned tower during sudden squalls. A light that official records say hasn't worked in over 70 years. The truth remains shrouded in the same fog that eternally clings to Mariner's Point. What do you think happened to the old lighthouse keeper? Let me know in the comments below. And if you love mysteries like this, make sure to like and subscribe for more. Thanks for watching. Emma, a young journalist, came to uncover the truth behind the mysterious lighthouse. For centuries, it stood on the cliffs of Blackwood Point, a silent guardian against the tempestuous sea. But locals whispered it was more than just a beacon. They called it the Weeping Widow, a place of sorrow and secrets. Tales of strange lights, mournful cries, carried on the wind, and ships vanishing without a trace had surrounded the lighthouse for generations. The official story was simple: maritime accidents, unfortunate but explainable. Emma knew better. The truth was buried deep, and she was here to dig it up. Her investigation started at the town's dusty archives. She spent days poring over old ship logs, weather reports, and newspaper clippings. Most were dead ends, but then she found it: a series of entries from the 1920s, written by the first lighthouse keeper, a man named Thomas Blackwood. His handwriting grew frantic over time, detailing an unexplainable glow from the ocean's depths on moonless nights, a glow that seemed to call to him. He wrote of a melody, a siren's song that promised eternal peace beneath the waves. The final entry was a single, chilling phrase: "The light below is brighter than the light above. I must answer." Thomas Blackwood was reported lost at sea the next day. Armed with this clue, Emma rented a small boat. She waited for a moonless night, just as Thomas had described. As darkness fell, a profound silence settled over the water, broken only by the rhythmic crash of waves against the cliffs. Then she saw it. A soft, ethereal luminescence began to pulse from the depths directly below the lighthouse. It was beautiful, hypnotic. A faint, haunting melody drifted through the air, seeming to vibrate right through the hull of the boat. It pulled at her, promising an end to all struggle, a serene eternity. Emma felt a powerful urge to dive into the glowing water, but her journalistic instinct, her sheer determination, fought back. She gripped the side of her boat, her knuckles white, and focused on the lighthouse above. Its beam cut through the darkness, a stark contrast to the alluring glow below. She realized the truth then. The lighthouse wasn't the source of the mystery. It was the defense against it. The weeping widow didn't weep for those it took, but for those it tried to save. It was a beacon of warning, not a lure. Emma started her engine, the sudden roar shattering the mystical silence. As she sped away, she looked back one last time. The light from the deep faded, and the mournful song was swallowed by the sound of her escape. She had found the truth. Not a ghost story, but a timeless battle between a man-made light and an ancient, hungry darkness. And she would be the one to finally tell its story. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like and subscribe for more mysteries. The old house stood silhouetted against a bruised, twilight sky, a decaying monument to forgotten secrets. They said it was empty, abandoned for decades after the last family vanished, without a trace. But some places don't stay empty for long. They fill up with memories, with echoes, with hunger. That's the story that brought Emma here. She wasn't a ghost hunter or a thrill seeker, just a historian with a morbid curiosity about the town's most infamous legend. Armed with a flashlight and a healthy dose of skepticism, she pushed open the groaning front door. The moment she stepped inside, the air grew colder, and the whispers began. Soft and fierce, like the rustle of dry leaves skittering across floorboards. She told herself it was just the wind, the old house settling. But as she ventured deeper, the whispers took on a chilling cadence, almost like a lullaby sung in a language she couldn't understand. Yet her heart recognized its sorrow. Her flashlight beam cut through the thick, dusty air, dancing over furniture draped in white sheets, resembling ghostly figures in repose. The grand staircase loomed before her, a dark spine leading up into the heart of the house. Each step creaked under her weight, a protest from the decaying wood. The whispers grew louder with every footfall, swirling around her, pulling at the edges of her courage. Upstairs, a long hallway stretched into darkness, lined with closed doors. One door, at the very end, was slightly ajar, a sliver of deeper blackness beckoning her forward. The whispers were coming from there, clearer now, weaving together into a single, sorrowful name. A name she'd read in the old town records, a name that belonged to a child who had disappeared from this very house a century ago. She pushed the door open. The room was a child's nursery, frozen in time. A rocking horse stood motionless, its painted eyes seeming to watch her. A crib sat in the corner, its wooden bars like a tiny cage. And in the center of the room, a small music box lay on the floor. As her light fell upon it, the whispers stopped. A dead, heavy silence filled the air. Then, slowly, with a series of metallic clicks, the music box began to play its haunting, tinny melody all by itself. Emma froze, her blood turning to ice. She finally understood. She wasn't just visiting a house of memories. She had walked into their waiting room, and they had been waiting for a very, very long time. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like and subscribe for more chills. What if I told you that some inheritances are not blessings, but curses? Imagine stumbling upon a forgotten family heirloom, something tucked away in the dusty attic of a house that holds more secrets than memories. This is where our story begins, with a young woman named Elias, who inherits her great-grandmother's secluded cottage. The place is a time capsule, filled with relics of a bygone era. But one object calls to her more than any other. A strangely ornate antique locket cold to the touch and unnervingly heavy. She felt an unexplainable pull, an urge to open it, but there was no clasp, no seam, no visible way to unlock its secrets. Driven by a mix of curiosity and a growing sense of dread, she starts digging through her great-grandmother's belongings. The search is frantic, almost desperate. Hidden inside a hollowed-out book, she found records of previous keepers, all missing under mysterious circumstances. Old logs, torn letters, and a strange map. Each document tells a fragment of a terrifying story. A story of people who possessed the locket, and then simply vanished. The writings speak of whispers in the dark, of shadows that move on their own, of a presence that grows stronger the longer you hold the locket. They mention a recurring nightmare, a door that must never be opened. Elias notices the same chilling pattern in every account. First, the obsession with the locket, then the isolation. As the keeper pushes everyone away, and finally, the disappearance, leaving behind only the locket and a few scattered, cryptic notes. Now, Elias holds the very same object. The locket feels warmer now, almost like it's alive. At night, she hears faint whispers echoing through the old cottage, and she's started having the dream. A long, dark hallway with a single, imposing door at the end. The map she found doesn't lead to treasure. It marks locations where the previous keepers were last seen. She realizes this isn't just a family history, it's a warning. The locket isn't just an heirloom, it's a key, and something on the other side is waiting. She has a choice: get rid of it and run, or try to solve the mystery and break the cycle, knowing she might be the next to disappear. What would you do? Let me know in the comments below, and don't forget to subscribe for more chilling tales. Have you ever felt that chilling sensation? That gut feeling that you're not alone, even when you should be? Today, we re-diving into a story that will make the hair on the back of your neck stand up. It starts on a dark and stormy night, a classic setting for something truly terrifying. Our story follows a young woman named Clara, a historian who decided to spend a week studying the old, abandoned lighthouse on Blackwood Island, a place locals whispered was haunted. For the first few days, everything was normal. Clara spent her time poring over old logbooks, fascinated by the lonely lives of the lighthouse keepers. The wind howled outside, waves crashed against the jagged rocks, but inside, she felt safe, surrounded by history. But on the fourth night, the storm intensified. The power generator sputtered and died, plunging the entire lighthouse into near-total darkness, save for the occasional flash of lightning. That's when she started hearing it. A faint, mournful cry, almost lost in the roar of the wind. At first, she dismissed it as the storm playing tricks on her ears, but the sound grew louder, more distinct. It sounded like a woman weeping. Clara, armed with only a flashlight, decided to investigate. Her heart pounded in her chest as she slowly climbed the winding, iron staircase, the beam of her light cutting through the oppressive darkness. Each step echoed ominously in the stone tower. As she reached the top landing, just below the lamp room, a blinding flash of lightning illuminated the entire structure. And in that split second, she saw it. Suddenly, a ghostly figure appeared, staring at her from the top floor. It was a woman, translucent and pale, with eyes that seemed to hold a century of sorrow. The weeping sound was coming from her. Clara froze, her breath caught in her throat. The figure raised a spectral hand, not in a threatening way, but as if pointing towards the churning sea below. Before Clara could scream, another lightning strike lit up the sky, and the figure vanished. Shaking, she scanned the logbooks again and found an entry from 100 years ago. It described the tragic story of Ilara, a keeper's wife, who lost her husband to the merciless sea during a storm just like this one. They say she still keeps her lonely vigil, forever waiting for him to return. Clara didn't sleep for the rest of the night. She left the island the next morning, leaving the lighthouse to its eternal, sorrowful guardian. What do you think? Was it just a figment of her imagination? Or does Ilira's ghost truly haunt the Blackwood Lighthouse? Let me know your theories in the comments below. Thanks for watching. And if you love spooky stories like this, make sure to subscribe for more. See you next time. Have you ever felt like a place was watching you? That's how I felt about the old lighthouse on Whisperwind Point. Everyone in town said it was just an abandoned relic, a monument to sailors long gone. But I always felt a pull, a strange energy humming just beneath the surface. One stormy afternoon, curiosity finally got the better of me. The air inside was thick with the smell of salt and decay, dust motes dancing in the slivers of light piercing the gloom. I ran my hand along the cold, damp stone of the interior wall, expecting nothing. But then, my fingers brushed against a section that felt ... different. Smoother. Colder. I pushed, and with a low groan that echoed through the circular chamber, a section of the wall swung inward, revealing a darkness that seemed to swallow the light. My heart hammered against my ribs, but I had to know what was inside. Stepping through the opening, I found myself in a small, windowless room. The air was still, heavy with the scent of aged paper and something else. Something metallic and electric. A single wooden desk sat in the center, and on it, an array of bizarre artifacts. There were star charts, unlike any I'd ever seen, mapping constellations that didn't exist in our sky. There were strange, crystalline objects that pulsed with a faint, internal light, and a journal bound in what looked like dark, scaled leather. I opened the journal, and my blood ran cold. The pages were filled with frantic handwriting, detailing scientific observations and desperate warnings. The last entry was almost illegible. Scrawled in a shaky hand, it spoke of calibrations, of energy fluctuations, and of an opening. It wasn't just a journal. It was a logbook. The author wasn't just a keeper. They were a guardian. Behind a hidden wall, a secret room revealed a chilling truth. The lighthouse wasn't just a beacon for ships. It was a portal to another realm, and as I looked up from the book, I saw it. The crystals on the desk began to glow brighter. The air crackled, and the very fabric of the wall in front of me started to shimmer, twisting into a swirling vortex of impossible colors. The portal was active, and something was coming through. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more stories from the edge of reality. Have you ever heard the whispers of the sea? The ones that aren't just the crash of waves, but something older, something hungry. That's what Emma heard. She came to the old Port Isaac lighthouse seeking inspiration, a painter looking for the perfect storm to capture on canvas. But the lighthouse had other plans. It wasn't just a beacon for ships, it was a collector of souls. The locals warned her. Emma, ever the skeptic, dismissed it as folklore, a spooky tale to scare tourists. They grew louder, weaving themselves into the creaks and groans of the ancient structure. She scrambled for her flashlight, its beam cutting a frantic path through the gloom. The air grew impossibly cold. The scent of salt water and decay filled her lungs. But now, below the original script, new words were forming, written in what looked like wet sand. It's your turn. Panic seized her. The spirits of the missing keepers were no longer just whispers. Tay, wary, Etta climbing the stairs to claim their replacement. She had to get out. Dropping everything, she bolted for the stairs. A desperate race against the unseen. The iron steps were slick with a mysterious brine, and the whispers were now a cacophony of spectral voices, chasing her down the spiraling descent. The entire lighthouse seemed to groan around her, a living tomb, eager to seal her in. She had to escape before the light, and the souls it had consumed, claimed her forever. Will she make it out? Or will she become the next ghost story told in hushed tones by the sea? Let me know what you think happens next in the comments. And if you love a good scare, don't forget to like and subscribe for more tales from the edge of reality. Thanks for watching. The ocean air was a razor, slicing through the thin fabric of my dress. Every wave that crashed against the shore sounded like a final, gasping breath. I stumbled onto the sand, my legs trembling, a mixture of salt water and tears stinging my eyes. I'd made Italiano. I was finally free from that suffocating island, from the endless spiral of the lighthouse stairs, from the whispers that clung to the damp stone walls. Primetta turned bike, one last time needing to see the source of my torment shrink into the distance. The lighthouse beam cut through the encroaching dusk, a steady, rhythmic pulse. 1, 2, 3. But on the fourth beat, it sputtered. It flickered once, twice, then died completely, plunging the island into an inky blackness. A cold dread, colder than the sea, seeped into my bones. The light wasn't supposed to go out. It never went out. My heart hammered against my ribs, a frantic drumbeat against the sudden, terrifying silence. Then, a new light appeared. A faint, almost imperceptible glow from the gallery at the very top. It wasn't the powerful beam of the lantern. It was something smaller, something human. My breath caught in my throat. I squinted, my eyes straining to make sense of the silhouette forming against the weak light. It was the shape of a person, standing right where I had been only hours before, looking out towards me. It couldn't be. I was the only one there. The keeper had been gone for years. A guttural scream tried to escape my lips, but it was swallowed by the wind. The figure didn't move. It just stood there, a dark stain against the twilight sky, a sentinel guarding a secret I thought I'd left behind. That's when the realization hit me with the force of a physical blow. You can't escape a place when you carry it inside you. The island wasn't just a rock in the sea. It was a part of my soul. And the figure in the lighthouse. It was waiting. It would always be waiting. I thought I had escaped, but some secrets never, ever let you go. They just follow you home. Thanks for watching, and if you enjoyed Tales from the Edge, make sure to subscribe.